Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monotui, coach of the Baltimore Orbeetles, and today we're going up against the Mr. Moet, coach of. His team name is Poetry in Motion. Definitely check out his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel will be in the description below, as well as the rest of the coaches in the APA. So far in the APA, we beat Ben 3-0 and we beat Kelly 4-0, so we're off to a 2-0 plus 7 start, which is pretty nice. It's a really nice way to start the season. Couldn't really ask for much more. And this week, obviously, we are going up against Moet, who's a very good battler. And I'm definitely looking forward to our game against him. Real quick, just to preface this real quick, the Dracosult set that you're about to see is different than what is actually going to be used in-game. And the reason for that is, obviously we're allowed to use Sandrush Dracosult in this league and all the other secondary abilities and whatnot that are not currently available. And we would get these things via a land trade, which is something you got to do to the Switch. You do some stuff with your IP, and then you're able to get Pokemon with abilities that aren't even necessarily legal at the moment. Whoop, okay, trying to fix the music. I apologize. There we go. So there's an issue with that land trade right now, and I'm not going to be able to receive a new Dracosult. Initially, we were going to just play on Showdown, but Moe didn't want to play. Moe wants to save that as a last resort, which I understand because I personally prefer playing on Wi-Fi for various different reasons. Honestly, it's a lot more fun. It looks a little bit nicer. Personally, I feel like I'm getting pretty comfortable with playing on Wi-Fi this gen, so I would prefer to do it too. But I decided ultimately I only needed to change one move on my Dracosult from last week. So I decided to just change one of the moves, keep the EV spread. I'm losing out on a little bit of bulk, but hopefully it won't end up mattering all that much, and this is just, a little sacrifice I'm going to make so that we can play on Wi-Fi. But enough with that out of the way. Let us get into the matchup, which should be popping up on screen right now. As you can see, Moet's team consists of Cramorant, Dugtrio, Durant, Howlucha, Mimikyu, Morpeko, Ninjask, Gmax Orbeetle, Rotom Heat, Vaporeon, and Weezing. So, his team definitely has some threats. Howlucha can be a pretty big problem. Obviously, if it gets its Sunburden, it'll outspeed my Dracosult in the sand. It also obviously threatens things like Gigalith and Melmetal. Outspeeds everything on my team outside of Inteleon before the Unburden. He also has Dugtrio, which is very fast and also obviously able to trap things like my Dracosult and my Gigalith. Even my Melmetal or Reboot it can trap and do a lot of damage too. He has Durant. First impression, Hustle boosted on Durant is insane. Obviously also Iron Head plus Superpower is pretty good versus my team. Deals with my Wall Core pretty well. Rotom Heat is probably the best check to Melmetal that you're going to find in the game, which is a little bit unfortunate for me. That maybe like Rotom Wash. And overall, he just has some sneaky good Pokemon. Like, Morpeko can be sneaky good. Cramorant can sometimes be pretty annoying. Mimikyu can definitely run a train on teams if they're not careful with it. Or if you're not careful facing it. So, he's got a lot of good mons versus my team. However, I believe I've built a team of 6 that will be able to take him on. And let's get into it right now. So, this is the ideal EV spread that I would have brought on Dracosult. This amount of speed should have allowed me to outspeed just about everything on his team. Except maybe the Ninjask, but I didn't bother trying to outspeed that anyway. In the stand, because, what's it called? He just protects and gets speed boost, and then he'll outspeed me regardless, so I didn't really try to outspeed it. I forget if this spread actually does, but regardless, this would outspeed everything on his team. We're running the Shed Shell, because if he is running Scarf Dugtrio, he'll be able to outspeed me in the stand no matter what, and just knock me out with an Earthquake. Jolly Scarf Dugtrio will outspeed Dracosult even if I were Jolly max speed. So I decided to just run Shed Shell. His team is really weak to this Pokemon outside of potentially like the Rotom Heat. So I wanted to be able to save this as long as possible. I didn't really need a boosting item versus his team. Like, I hit everything pretty hard as it is already. And what's nice about his team is that his ground type, his Volt Beak immunity, just straight up dies to a Dragon Claw, being Dugtrio. So if he's not Scarf Dugtrio, I'll just be able to OHKO it easily. If I predict a Sucker Punch, I can go for sub, block out a little bit of damage. So this set really, really nice versus his team. I outspeed everything on his team, understand, aside from, like I said, a Scarf Doug Trio or potentially, Ninjask, if it wants to come in and set up a speed boost. But either way, this is a really nice set versus him. Bolt Beak and Dragon Claw, as you can see looking at his team, really all I need versus him. Bolt Beak hits literally everything except for the Doug Trio. Morpeko is going to take a ton of damage from it, and Rotom Heat is still going to be taking a decent chunk from it. And again, like I said, the Doug Trio does go down to the Dragon Claw. So this is a huge threat versus his team. As long as I can keep my Stand Setter alive as long as possible, we'll be good. And speaking of which, here it is. This is going to be our Gigalith. Rock Blast, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Stealth Rock, fully physically defensive. Now, we're running fully Phys Def primarily because I wanted the Smooth Rock still, so that I can keep my stand up as long as possible, but also, a lot of his team is physical. As you can see, like, he has the Mimikyu, the Durant, the Doug Trio, even something like the Ninjask, even something like the Morpeko could potentially be coming. So I wanted to be able to take on the physical threats as best as I could. He also has the Doug Trio to trap me, as I mentioned earlier, and I didn't want to be running something like Shed Shell, because I want to keep my stand turns up as long as possible, like I mentioned earlier. So being able to take an Earthquake from Doug Trio and then knocking out with the Body Press was essentially my goal from this. Earthquake will never be able to knock me out, no matter what, and then I will be able to just knock him clean out with the Body Press, which is ideally what will happen this game. Ideally we don't get trapped at all, but in the case that I do end up getting trapped by Doug Trio, I'll still be in a pretty good spot. I'll still have my stands that are around, and I do also have the Iron Defense, which can potentially be set up versus things like the Mimikyu, for example. I can Iron Defense up, hit it with a Rock Blast, break its disguise, do some damage to it, take hits from it relatively well. Can do it obviously versus the Ninjask, the Morpeko. Probably not the Doug Trio, but either way, being physically defensive is very, very important. And getting an Iron Defense up could be huge in living a hit from something like Hawlucha or Doug Trio later on, which could be really, really important. So that's going to be our Stand Setter, our Gigalith right here. Fully physically defensive, also a Rock Setter. Next up, we have Clefable. Clefable runs basically a complete train on his entire team. We're running physically defensive, Moonblast, Sword Power, Cosmic Power, Soft Boiled. I don't know how much explaining I have to do, but when you look at the matchup, just destroys absolutely everything. Like, he could potentially have Haze on Weezing, and then, he has the Durant, and then outside of that, this Mon kind of just runs a train on him completely. Like, there really is not much else that can stop this. He doesn't really have Taunt on much, Like, he might have Taunt on Mimikyu, I guess. He could have Taunt on Hawlucha, but obviously both of those are hit pretty well by Moonblast. Rotom Heat can maybe Nasty Plot and beat me 1v1, though it's kind of difficult. Obviously, Vaporeon has the ability to run Haze as well as Weezing, but, none of them beat it 1v1, essentially. Like, you have to Haze it. You have to be running Haze to begin with, and then you have to hope that I don't have other, you have to hope that I don't have other checks to that specific Pokemon, which, as you can see, I do. He sends in Vaporeon. Hi, Dracozolt wants to say hi, kills the Pokemon. You send in your Weezing. Something like Haunter can come in, take the Sludge Bomb, whatever he wants to go for easily, hit it with a very hard Shadow Ball, or even trick it to cripple it for later. Or even, any special attacker on my team. So I can tell you, in Specs, Surf is going to do a crap ton to it. So, this Clefable set, I'm ideally will just be able to run a train on his team. Obviously, I have to be careful of Haze Pokemon and whatnot, but there's very few things on his team that'll be able to stop this thing once it sets up a single stored power. Obviously, there's the Durant, but we do have our check to that in our Mandibuzz, which we'll get into a little bit later. So, next up, like I mentioned earlier, or a little bit earlier, just a few moments ago, we have Haunter this week. Scarf Haunter, once again, I'm noticing that Scarf is kind of its best set. It's very, very frail, so I don't want it ever taking hits, and obviously being able to outspeed things and spam Ghost moves is really important. When you look at the matchup, Ghost is really, really spammable versus his team. His only Ghost resist is going to be that Morpeko, which is very frail in its own right and will not appreciate switching into Shadow Ball. Even then, Sludge Wave is pretty spammable versus his team. Obviously, he has the Weezing, the Durant, and the Doug Trio, but Weezing doesn't take special hits as well as it takes physical hits. The Durant will never want to switch in on a Shadow Ball, so it wouldn't risk coming in on a Sludge Wave. And Dugtrio is frail as hell and will take a lot from Sludge Wave. What's also nice about this Pokemon is that because I am a Ghost type, I am not trapped by the Dugtrio. And also I am immune to the Fighting Stab of Howlucha. So if I want to make a hard read, expect him to be White Herb Close Combat Howlucha, I can switch to my Haunter, be immune to the close combat, he doesn't get his White Herb, he doesn't get his Unburden, and I can smack him with a powerful Ghost or Poison move. I outspeed Rotom Heat, which is really nice. I hit the Orbeetle super effectively. I outspeed the Ninjask before Speed Boost. Obviously I hit the Mimikyu very hard, but it does hit me with the Shadow Sneak, which I have to be careful for. This Pokemon's just really, really nice versus his team. Ghost is so spammable this generation. There's no Pursuit Trapping. Something as low-tiered as Haunter can put in a ton of work. If I don't need my Scarf anymore, or I want to cripple something, I can go for Trick, potentially cripple the Weezing, potentially cripple the Vaporeon, which could be really nice. Even crippling something along the lines of Cramorant, depending on what I have left, can be very important. So Haunter, really nice this game. Really looking forward to using it this game. It's going to put in a lot of work. Now next, we are going to be going over our Inteleon. So we're running Timid Max Speed just so that we can Speed Tie with the Dugtrio. I don't necessarily need to Speed Tie with the Dugtrio because I do have Aqua Jet, which will be able to do a ton of damage to it. But I kind of wanted to just because if I'm locked into Surf, I want the chance to not be trapped by him when he switches back in with his Dougie. You know, like suppose I'm slower and I go for Surf and kill something and then he goes into his Dugtrio. He'll be able to outspeed me and hit me with an Earthquake and I lose my Inteleon, which would be kind of problematic. Obviously, there's still a chance of that happening if he's Jolly Max Speed, but at least this way, there's at least a 50% chance that I'll just be able to knock it out without him doing anything and with him wasting his Dugtrio. So, Inteleon Surf, Shadow Ball, Aqua Jet, and U-Turn, that's pretty much all the coverage that I need for his team. Surf is really spammable versus him. His only good switch into that is the Vaporeon, which, similarly to Week 1 versus Ben, I will just be able to click U-Turn out versus. Like, whenever my Inteleon's in, I can easily just click U-Turn and handle it that way. Even Cramorant doesn't really want to deal with the Spec Surf, which is nice unless it's especially defensive. Shadow Ball is kind of there as a decent little neutral move. It also hits the Orbeetle super effectively, which is kind of nice. It hits the Mimikyu a little bit harder, which is nice. I didn't really need all that many moves on this thing. You know, Water plus U-Turn was really all I needed, so I slapped on the Aqua Jet for potential priority onto things later, and then I just slapped on Shadow Ball to hit something like the Orbeetle a little bit harder. Obviously, it being a G-Max makes it a little more scary, so being able to hit it a little bit harder than Spec Surf would could potentially come into play later. So that's going to be our Inteleon. Nothing really special about it, just a standard old Inteleon with Aqua Jet priority. Next up, and lastly, we are going to be running our Mandibuzz. So I'm running Rocky Helmet on this over the heavy-duty boots, because when you look at Mode's team, his only form of removal, or his only form of Stealth Rock is that Dugtrio, and I'm not 100% sure if he's going to want to bring Rocks versus my team, because I'm not particularly weak to it, and I could be running heavy dudes on Mandibuzz, which is seen all the time, so I'm not particularly afraid of it. So yeah, I just decided to run Rocky Helmet on this team, on this Mon, because like I said, he has a lot of different physical Pokemon that don't really want to take this, or that don't really, he has a lot of good physical threats, basically. So I can send in Mandibuzz on Howlucha, take 2 close combats easily, knock it out with a Brave Bird. I can take on the Durant decently well. I can take on the Dugtrio pretty well as well, unless he's Banded Stone Edge is not going to 2-hit KO. I'm pretty sure Banded Stone Edge has a chance to not 2-hit KO Fizz-Def Mandibuzz, but you know, there's that. Obviously, I switch into the Ninjask. I can switch into the Morpeko when it's in its dark form, which is really nice. I can even take a Play Rough and Mimikyu, which is nice. And still, I'm actually still able to check various different things on his team. You know, like Orbeetle can't really do all that much to me, which is nice, even though I'm physically defensive, not specially defensive. Obviously, I'm immune to the Psychic Stab, and I can take on the Bug-type hits pretty well, unless he's obviously G-Max and going for stronger Bug hits. We're also running 3 attacks, as you can see on this. I need Brave Bird so that I can check Howlucha, that's no question. I want Foul Play, because Foul Play hits pretty much all of his physical attackers very, very hard. Like, it'll hit Mimikyu the hardest, it'll hit Durant the hardest, it'll hit Dugtrio pretty hard. Should actually just straight up knock out Dugtrio, which is really nice. And then I really wanted U-turn. With this type of team that I'm running, I really wanted that initiative into my more offensive Pokemon, so I really just wanted to run U-turn. You know, he's in with Ninjask. Obviously, he's not going to stay in, or he's more than likely not going to stay in, so I can U-turn on out. He's in with Hawlucha, probably going to U-turn out. In with Durant, probably going to switch out. So I wanted U-turn to be able to gain that slow initiative into one of my more offensive Pokemon. And then obviously our last move as a Roost, because we need that recovery to continuously take hits from various different things. And with that being said, that is going to be the team. As you can see, we decided not to bring G-Max Melmetal this week. He just, in my opinion, he has a little bit too much for it. Like, Cramorant could be the annoying, like, Rocky Helmet Gold Missile set that's going to make Double Iron Bash a problem. Dugtrio can trap me and do some decent damage. Durant has superpower to hit me kind of hard. Hawlucha has stab close combat for it. Mimikyu can burn me if it wants to. It would be nice for the Orbeetle, but he also has, like I said, Rotom Heat, which is a great check to it. Vaporeon, which can potentially outspeed me and burn me. Weezing, which can burn me. So I just decided it wasn't the best week to bring it this week, similarly to last week. Hopefully I'll be able to bring it a little bit more in the future, and I'll be able to show off how disgusting it is. But for this week, we're going to be running a team without it. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Sub to Moet. YouTube link in the description below. Sub to the rest of the APA. And I will see you in the match. Bye. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monotui, coach of the Baltimore Orbeetles, I should say. And today we're bringing you guys our Week 3 match of APA versus the Mr. Moet. Definitely check out his YouTube link in the description below. We are going to be, like I said, we're playing for Week 3. Hopefully his team will pop up in a second, and we'll be able to compare matchups. For a quick rundown of our team, it will be popping up on screen in a moment, but here, let me pull up my showdown, and let me pull up my calc as well. Hopefully I won't need my calc too much. I did a lot of calcs beforehand. But okay, yeah. So, for this week in APA, we have our Sandra Shedshell Dracozolt. We have our physically defensive Smooth Rock Gigalith. We have our physically defensive Stored Power Cosmic Power Clefable, Choice Scarf Haunter, Choice Specs Inteleon, and our physically defensive Rocky Helmet Mandibuzz. Hopefully the game will load up in a moment. Yep, there we go. Excellent. There's been some lag among the LAN servers the last few days. I did play a little bit earlier, and it didn't seem to have any problems. Alright, so Dugtrio, Vaporeon, Hawlucha, Durant, Orbeetle, and Weezing. So just about the team I expected. So immediately I see, like, if we're able to get rid of that Vaporeon, what's it called? The frickin' the lizard. Inteleon is going to be an absolute demon versus his team. I kind of wish I was Mystic Water Protect for the first impression on Durant. It's a good lead versus him. I think I actually want to lead with Dracozolt. Actually, what do I want to lead with? I think I'm going to lead with my Haunter. Reason being is I have a weird hunch that he's going to lead with his Weezing. I was going to lead Dracozolt, but once I realized that he might lead with Weezing, I don't want to lead with Dracozolt. Hopefully, if he's T-Spikes, that would be a little bit annoying on Weezing. Obviously, it won't affect a few things on my team. Like, it obviously won't affect the Haunter, Mandibuzz, or the Clef, but that would be pretty annoying for the Dracozolt. Would be annoying for the Gigalith, even Inteleon. I don't necessarily need health on Dracozolt that much, or the Inteleon that much, but it would definitely be annoying for the Gigalith. So, good luck, have fun, Moet. Yep, he does lead with the Weezing. I'm a genius. As we are just going to lead with our Haunter, and he does not have a Ghost Resist. So, I'm just going to go right for Shadow Ball immediately. He did not bring his Morpeko, no Ghost Resist whatsoever. As long as he's more physically defensive, which I expect him to be, this will be doing well over half. Unfortunately, I am a Levitator on my Haunter, so I won't be able to absorb the T-Spikes if he decides to go for it. He's also just going to eat the Shadow Ball. that just barely does not do half. So he's definitely running a little bit of Spadef, and he is going to be able to get up that T-Spike. And I'm debating what I want to do here. I think there's a chance that he goes out into his Vaporeon here. However, I'm just going to click Shadow Ball again. If he does, I'll be able to get some chip off onto it. Nope, he's just going to stay in. Might go for another layer of T-Spikes, as we do get a good amount of damage off. He actually just ends up going for Pain Split. My base HP isn't all that high, so he's not going to get a ton back. And health on Haunter doesn't necessarily matter, but could come into play later. So he's going to stay at about half HP. I feel like he's going to switch now, but I don't want to risk him going for another Pain Split again. I'll just continuously click Shadow Ball until he goes into Vaporeon, which he is now. Yep, there's the Vaporeon. We will smack this thing with the Shadow Ball. We do get a Spadef drop, which is kind of nice. I'm debating what I want to do here, because, let's see. So, Clefable would be a decent neutral play. I could go hard into Dracozolt if I'm not fearing the, you know, the, what's it called? The Ice Beam, which I'm debating doing. But I think I'd rather just, would he Ice Beam here? I don't know if he'd Ice Beam here. So, you know, I'm going to go right into my Dracozolt. This is kind of a risky play. I feel like he might Wish. As long as he doesn't go for Ice Beam, we're fine. Obviously, I resist the Scald. I can't be burnt. He does just go for Wish. Totally fine by me. I will be weakening myself if I go for Sub. But at the same time, there's not too much he can do. So I'll just go for Sub here. Thankfully, I'm not Life Orb or anything, so I don't chip myself even slower. Although I will be chipping myself for sure with this. He might just go right back into Weezing. As nope, he goes hard Dugtrio, which I'm totally fine with. Because now I'll be able to break this thing Sub. And then he's probably not expecting me to be Shed Shell on this. So, you know, we'll see what he wants to go for. I'll go for a Dragon Claw. He's more than likely Focus Sash. I don't think he would have risked going out into this if he wasn't. Like, he could have taken the hit, gone down to his Sash, and then gotten Wished back up. He will Earthquake here. And now we will just go for the Dragon Claw right here, which will bring him down to his Focus Sash, as expected. What's great about this, though, is that we have the ability to switch out because of our Shed Shell, which is fantastic. So, he's going to go for another Earthquake. So I'm going to go right out into my Gothitelle, or my, I'll say Gothitelle. I'm going to go right out into my Mandibuzz here. Right out into Mandibuzz, as he does just go right for another Earthquake. Looking at his team, I can either go for the knockoff and get rid of an item on something, which would be kind of nice, or I can just go for a U-turn and gain myself some initiative. I think I'm just going to go for a U-turn here. I'd rather gain the initiative than knock off the Weezing's item, which I assume is what's coming in now. No, actually going to be Durant. Okay, so kind of wished I had gone for the other play, but it is what it is. So I can go back into my Haunter here. The question now is, do I risk this being Scarf? which I don't think I do. I think I'm going to double back out into my Mandibuzz here. Because if he Iron Heads me, he's going to take a lot of damage. If he goes into the Vaporeon, I can knock off that thing's leftovers. So I will just go right out into my my Mandibuzz here. There's a chance he First Impressions. I don't think he does. I don't think... You know, Banded might kill Haunter. I know it's quad resisted, but Durant is strong, and First Impression's a pretty strong move, so he might just go for that if he's Banded or maybe even Life Orb. Regardless, though, I'm Fizz Def on Mandibuzz. This is my best play for sure. So we switch out first. So if he switches, then we know he's not Scarf. But no, he stays in, just goes for Iron Head. Okay, so there's a good chance he's Scarf. And that damage definitely looks like Scarf to me. So what I'm going to do here is just go for the knockoff. Regardless of what he does, this is very important for me. Because if he goes out into the Vaporeon, what the hell is this? Alright. Infestation. Oh, he's going to try and entrain me. So he wasn't Scarf, so I could have knocked this out with Shadow Ball. Wide Lens. That's pretty crazy. But, I mean, I have U-turn, so it's not a huge deal. I will Roost here. Because he could entrain me. Oh, no, he's not the ability. He's not the what is this? My goodness. That's going to lower my defense 2 stages, obviously. I kind of wish I U-turn now. Although this Mandibuzz is primarily for this Pokemon. So I don't mind it getting weakened all that much. I basically just have to avoid a flinch here. But... I mean, I will happily just click Brave Bird here. If he gets rid of this Mon, or if he allows Durant to go down, then Clefable's in a great spot. So he's going to Iron Head. It's going to do a decent chunk to me. As long as we don't flinch and we get off this Brave Bird, we're good. Nice. This should knock out Durant. I know Mandibuzz is pretty weak and Durant has decent physical bulk. But Brave Bird is going to be able to knock him out, which is fantastic for me. I am low on HP now, but I didn't need this Mon for too much else outside of potentially dealing with the Dougie. And obviously, I can switch in a Clef on the Dougie now that I know what it is. So he's gonna send in Hawlucha. Obviously, Mandibuzz was also for this, but I do have other checks to it. I'm gonna go right for a Brave Bird. I could go into Clef, but I'd rather get this Brave Bird damage off so that I can. Yeah, he's just gonna sub. So. I'll keep clicking this. Like I have Aqua Jet on my my Inteleon. I have a full health Clef, and I really don't mind losing my my Mandibuzz at this point. You know, dealing with the Durant was the big thing that I needed to do. So gonna go for a Brave Bird again. He is going to go for the close combat. That's going to knock me out, obviously, because of the defense drop. He's more than likely a White Herb, I assume. We'll see it here, obviously. Yeah, that's White Herb, right? Yeah, so he's White Herb, which I'm fine with. So I can go right out into my Clef and just click Moonblast. The poison's not going to matter because I'm Magic Guard. And yeah, we'll just knock him out with the Moonblast. I could Cosmic Power up here, but I don't want him going for anything crazy. There's also a chance he just goes right into Weezing, which might have Haze. Although I'm not sure, because he's probably Sludge Bomb on the Weezing, right? Like he's probably Sludge Bomb, he's got T-Spike, he has Pain Split. So I'm not 100% sure. He's actually just going to go for a sub. I don't mind that at all. He could be Encore as well. I think Hawlucha gets Encore, right? Let me double check that. Hawlucha Encore. It does get Encore, so I'm not going for Cosmic Power. There's a very potential chance he does actually have Encore. If he Encores me into Moonblast, it's not that big of a deal either. Nope, he's going to withdraw. See who he wants to go out into. Vaporeon. Okay. So there's that. That's going to be taking a decent little chunklet. I can attempt to set up with Clef here. Yeah, so Cosmic Power is the defense boosting one. I'll attempt to Cosmic Power here. We'll see if he has anything. He's sub on this too. I mean, he's more than likely going to be Baton Pass, obviously, but we'll see what he wants to do, because I'm pretty sure I'm in a good spot still. I mean, I'll do it again. I don't think he'd be like sub Baton Pass, Haze, Scald, especially since he's already revealed Wish, so yeah, there's the Baton Pass. What would he be going into here that would be really threatening to me? Durant's dead. Like, obviously there's the Weezing, but I'm not super afraid of that. The Hawlucha is low and shouldn't be able to beat me 1v1. He's only passing the sub. The Dugtrio could have Screech, but I'm going to be a +2 defense after this. The issue... So there's an Orbeetle. Okay. Obviously that's a bit of an issue. Not a huge issue, I don't think. Although this might be just my unfamiliarity with Orbeetle. You know, my own mascot. So obviously this gets Combine and whatnot. It does not. It does get Recover. I'll Moonblast here. Break a potential sub. If he wants to G-Max as well, that's going to break his sub. There's the Combine. Let's see here. I'm gonna go right into Gigalith here, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna go right into Gigalith here. Might have underestimated this Pokemon. I'll be able to break this up with Rock Blast, obviously. And, you know, with Stand Up, I'm gonna be kind of bulky. I feel like he would be Psyshock over Psychic, expecting potentially like a Combined Clef. Yeah, so there's another Combine. I can hit him with the Rock Blast. It might proc a Weakness Policy. But, obviously, I'm not terribly afraid of that. I say that now, but obviously there's a chance that it becomes a real problem. And like I said, if he does decide to G-Max, he'll lose his sub. So, I just click Rock Blast here. There's the Iron Defense, okay. So it's starting to be a problem. You can see it's beginning to be a bit of an issue. So he's more than likely, like, Weakness Policy, I feel like. Because he's going to be Stored Power. That didn't even break sub, wow. Okay, so 2 should break the sub, right? Yeah, the sub's going to fade. Now I'm going to hit him. This is more than likely... Oh, no, I'm only going to hit him twice, okay. I'll Rock Blast again. There's a very good chance that I proc a Weakness Policy here. But Dracozolt hopefully will be able to do... I mean, he keeps Iron Defensing, so I'm not sure how much damage he'll be able to do. And again, I'm more than likely going to hit a Weakness Policy here, but I don't have too many other options. That's doing, like, nothing. No Weakness Policy? Okay. Oh, right, he has G-Max. I don't know why I keep thinking that these G-Max Pokemon can run items. So 3 hits. Was kind of hoping for more, but I'll take what I can get. Rock Blast again. I'm gonna lose my Gigalith in this exchange. And he has Recover. Ugh, that's the problem. So here's the issue. I can trick him a Choice Scarf, right? I can trick him a Choice Scarf, but he can just G-Max. We are getting 4 hits though, which is kind of nice. Okay, so there's that. Do I expect him to recover now? I think I do. Alright, I think I have a plan here. Maybe. If I expect him to recover, which I think I do, because I got 4 hits, he's probably going to run a recover and wait till I either miss or get 2. I'm going to go on a Haunter now. And depending on what he does, I'm either going to trick or go for a Shadow Ball. Obviously, we'll have to see what he decides to do. Right now he's at, I think, +2 Spadef, +4 defense. He might just attack me, though. This might be a misplay. This might be a big misplay, because if he decides to attack me, not risking the crit, then I lose my Haunter. And yeah, he's going to G-Max and attack me, which is very unfortunate for me. We'll see if I get full swept by this thing, or if I'm able to do, you know, something about it, but it's definitely a problem. I definitely underestimated this thing. I'm really being swept by on my own mascot, aren't I? Damn, dude. Yeah, G-Max Gravitas. That's gonna knock out my Haunter. And that, yeah, sets up Gravity. Okay. That did nothing to him. So in an attempt to stall this out, I'm gonna go into my Dracozolt and click sub. So obviously Protect is Protect goes through G-Max moves go through the sub, or go through Protect obviously, so I'll sub up. I shouldn't die to poison the next turn. I should live on a little bit of HP. And then I'll hit him for a Bolt Beak for as much damage as I can potentially do. And then I have to hope that somehow Inteleon can knock this thing out. Yeah, like I should live poison here. Yeah, on very little amount of HP. Obviously I'm immune to sand because of Sand Rush. So, we click Bolt Beak here. This is gonna do nothing. This might be the least amount of damage you ever see a Bolt Beak do. Never mind, he's gonna Max Guard. That's very smart. So, our Dracozolt's gonna go down. His G-Max is going to end. But, like, I don't have a way to beat this, is the thing. Like, I have to crit it with Inteleon, basically. I have to crit it with Inteleon, but even then, like, I'm pretty sure at this point Vaporeon's gonna be able to clutch up. Actually, no, if Vaporeon doesn't have Haze, then I can win with Clefable, but we're just gonna have to see how much the Shadow Ball does. Again, if at any point I crit him, you know, maybe we can pull out a win, but there's a good chance this Orbeetle just runs through the rest of my team. That did actually pretty good damage. And we get the Spadef drop, so alright, I guess there's a chance. It's not very likely. He actually has a pretty good chance of just switch, or he could very well just switch right now and be fine. Yeah, like Clef is the only thing that can win at this point. I will click Shadow Ball again. I definitely needed to trick this thing with Haunter. If I tricked this thing, I could have won. Oh, so he actually decides to stay in. I don't think this will kill, but it'll bring it pretty close. Yeah, it brings it very, very close. He's going to go for Stored Power, which will be able to knock me out, but at this point, the Orbeetle is very, very low. There goes Gravity. I don't even have anything that outspeeds this. I really just gotta hope for a crit, essentially. Like, because I don't outspeed this with anything that I have left. So, if one of my Rock Blast attacks crits, then I have a chance of winning. No, he just clicks Sword Power twice. What am I talking about? Like, Sword Power is easily just gonna be able to sweep me. If for whatever reason, okay, so maybe if I crit here, we'll have a chance. There's also, he might think I'm Spadef and I might be able to live this hit. So maybe if I crit here, we'll have a chance. That's doing so little. It's actually pathetic how little that's doing. Keep throwing rocks at him, buddy. One more. Oh, there's a crit. There's a crit. One more, maybe? Nope. Okay. Fair enough. So I would need 2 crits, basically, to even have a chance, which obviously I'm not going to be able to do. Maybe if I were Stone Edge, but then I'd only have 8, which would play into the fact that he has sub on his thing. So yeah, he's going to recover here. If I get maybe 2 crits, then that's pretty much my only game plan. That's really, I think, the only chance that I have at winning. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. We're getting pretty good numbers on our hits. But yeah, I definitely underestimated Orbeetle. I should have kept Mandibuzz around. Definitely should have kept Mandibuzz around, because I wouldn't be surprised if he was just mono attacking Stored Power. I don't know why he's clicking Recover. I think Stored Power is always his best play, just to avoid the chance that I crit him multiple times. There's one. There's one crit. Can I get another? I know I'm asking for crits. It's literally my only win con at this point, because there's no way Clefable beats this thing 1v1. Even if I were unaware Clef, he'd still be able to... That wouldn't block the amount of boost he'd be getting from, like the boost in base power that Stored Power would be doing. So, again, he should just knock me out here with the Stored Power. And he does. There goes Gigalith. And now I can just go into my Clefable and die. And that'll be the game. I wonder if there was a chance I lived Stored Power if I were like maxed at FAV, and that was why he kept clicking Recover. Plus, I'm Fizz Def, so there's like no chance that I live this. I guess I'll call Cosmic Power up in case he decides to recover for whatever reason. All right, he does. It's not gonna change the fact that I lose, but moral victory, I guess. That was smart on his part, though. Just on the off chance that he didn't kill me and I could heal up or something else. Maybe if I were unaware, there was a chance. Or in his mind. Obviously, there isn't a chance, but Recover was his best play if I'm unaware. So I'll Cosmic Power up again. This is still going to do a crap ton. Like, this is a stab base, probably like 220 at this point, Stored Power. Yeah, and he's just going to Combine up fully. I would forfeit here. Like, if this were a ladder game, I'd forfeit, because obviously I've lost. but I'll play it out just because I think that creates some difficulties for the people keeping track of scores and whatnot. Not that it should be that big a deal, like Orbeetle would kill Clef, but either way, not too big of a deal. I guess I'll Moonblast here on the off chance that he Calm Minds and I like super crit the Orbeetle and it dies to that plus sand. Man, it's really swept me with my own mascot. I knew I should have stuck with another Pokemon. God damn it, Orbeetle. Attack drop? Nope. Okay. Probably should have Moonblasted there in case he Calm-Minded, but I figured he'd recover. Because he knows if I crit there, then he just loses the game, which he's not willing to risk. And even then, like, if it was Wheezing as Haze, like, I lose anyway. Okay, no more sand, so he's not even taking chip from that anymore. Just Cosmic Power up, I guess, and hope that somehow Clef is able to... This is gonna die, isn't it? Oh, we lived. A miracle. By some miracle, we lived that hit. But yeah, there's still no way. Even if I got to +6 defense, like, he'd get up to +6 on Calm Minds, then he'd be able to boost his defense more, which still boosts Stored Power's power. And then if I were unaware, I'd be taking poison damage this whole time. This Stored Power is just gonna knock me out. Yep. Alright, so we take a big loss for week 3. We're going to end up losing, we're going to end up, what was it, 5-0? 4-0? I say 5-0. We got destroyed. Alright, so good game to Moetion, like I said earlier. Definitely check out his YouTube link in the description below. Being swept with my own mascot, it stings a little bit. Definitely stings. Might have to get a new team after that one. That's a little embarrassing, but obviously that's our fault. We completely under-prepped for Orbeetle. And obviously he had very good prep with things like the Screech on Durant. I also definitely should have kept Mandibuzz around. I thought I would be able to handle the Orbeetle without it, but clearly I was mistaken. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Check out Mo's perspective of the battle on his channel in the description below, and I'll see you later.